Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. What's up, everybody? Another week, another edition of the show. This week, I'm very happy to have Matthew from the awesome band Dead History out of Minnesota. I'll let him describe exactly what his sound is, but the people that I've already talked about this band to on the show, you've heard me say it harkens back to the 90s, post-hardcore scene, which my favorite band at that time was Quicksand, and still probably is. But yeah, it brought me exactly back to there. So that's just a little bit to give you what I think it is. But Matthew, first and foremost, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me.
So as I said, I mean, I labeled it, and it's my fault for doing that because sometimes people don't like labels on their music, but I put it as that post-hardcore 90s sound. I mean, when I heard the self-titled album for the first time, I was playing it and someone's like, dude, is this like new Quicksand or something? I was like, no, it's not. I'm like, but I know exactly why you feel that way, because it was that grungy, like in your face, here's some awesome riffs, and you're just like, fuck yeah. And like, you can't do nothing but like be into it in that moment. So sorry that I labeled it that way.
No, I mean that's fine. I mean, I mean, post-hardcore is kind of the thing we go to as like our own kind of self-label thing. I mean, that's definitely was kind of the impetus behind the band. Was a kind of I mean, it's definitely like a love letter to that era. Like all five of us have a like pretty varied musical taste, but the one thing that we all agree on is that like 90s 90s post-hardcore thing. And I mean, Quicksand being the biggest one, like that's the common ground between the five of us. So it's accurate. I mean, other people have called us other things. I mean, the emo thing gets thrown around a bit, and then yeah, but post-hardcore is accurate.
Yeah, I mean, and I always said I really think there was like there's a huge distinction between like emo and post-hardcore. And just to me, because I did grow up in, the 80s and 90s, and then I saw the burst of grunge and emo and post-hardcore, and like, I think it just got lumped together, so I can understand how someone would try to do that. But like, there is to me just like a huge distinction between both. And especially in nowadays of the playlists, where do you find yourself falling on playlists nowadays with Dead History?
Oh boy. I honestly don't pay like super close attention to the playlist. I mean, I'm the one with like the keys to like the Spotify behind the scenes thing. So I look at it every once in a while, but I don't like pay super close attention to it. I've seen this on like alternative things or like, yeah, a lot of emo things. Which is fun. I mean, I think the post-hardcore thing is very, very niche. Like that's, I feel like that's a smaller audience than any of the other labels that could potentially get thrown at us. So, yeah, the grunge thing gets thrown at us more than I expected it to.
Maybe because you're older. Maybe that's the only reason why, because you grew up in the 90s, right? So like maybe that's why someone throws that grunge on you, because you were there for it.
Yeah, I mean, I come through a little bit. I mean, we get it a lot with the singer's vocals. Like he's kind of got that more gruff, lower range. That's kind of associated with grunge more than, I mean, emo stuff tends to be a little more,
You can say whiny. It's fine.
well, not necessarily whiny, but I think of like Jeremy Enoch, right, where it's like a much higher register.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's only one Jeremy, but
Yeah.
I'm putting the whiny on the 900 other bands that are emo that
Yeah.
that I can't tell who's who anymore. So, and I'm an emo kid, so I'm allowed to say that. I'm allowed to, you're allowed to make fun of your own family.
Yeah.
So why don't you give us a quick backstory about how, Dead History became to what it is? Because you were all musicians. I know the story. I've heard it personally from David, but I want to hear your version of how Dead History became what it is today.
Okay. Well, there's some conflicting history already with the band. So David and I have known, well, actually all of us have known each other for like a very long time. Brock and I are both from South Dakota. Brock's the other guitar player. And we played in like, I think I counted, it's like 7 or 8 bands together over the course of our lifetime. And then, David and Brad are from like the Mankato, Minnesota area. And then John was from Green Bay, and John and Dave played in a band called The Line. together a bunch in the 90s, or for a while in the 90s. And then one of my old bands that Brock was in for a while was this band called Floodplain, and Floodplain and The Line used to play a bunch of shows together. And then um, David and I crossed paths again in like the early 2000s. I was living with like a bunch of people from this band called Cadillac Blindside from Minneapolis, and they used to play a bunch of shows with one of David's old bands called Attention. So we just kind of kept crossing paths over the years. Anyway, fast forward to more recent times in 2017, David was in this band called BNLX, which is like, I don't know how to describe them actually. They're kind of like a post-punk, dark wave, new wave kind of thing.
It's a good description. Yeah.
And I had a friend's band in Kansas City was kind of in a similar vibe. And I was trying to set up a show with like my friends from Kansas City and BNLX. And so David and I were chatting about stuff. One thing led to another, like we got off track and we were kind of lamenting. I don't even know how we ended up in this, how the conversation ended up in this way, but we're kind of lamenting like how Minneapolis doesn't really have like any good or like a huge like post-hardcore scene really. And I mean, it never really has. Like, Minneapolis is like very punk, profane. It's known for Profane Existence and like Dillinger 4. Anyway, we were kind of just lamenting that there wasn't like a huge post-hardcore thing in Minneapolis, and we wish there was more of that. And I asked him, I was like, "Oh, did you ever hear?" Just like off the cuff, I was like, "Did you ever hear this like weird demo I made like 20 years ago, where I just like wrote songs all like with a drum machine all by myself? It's like very like Texas is the Reason, Quicksand kind of stuff." And he was like, "No, I never heard that." And so I sent it to him, and he was like, "Oh shit, this is kind of cool." He's like, "Would you want to do something with this?" And I was like, "Well, I'd never really thought about it." And then we kind of went back and forth for a little bit. And he's like, "Well, I could ask some people." Like, he's like, I got some ideas for like people that could maybe play on it. And so, yeah, he ended up roping in my friend Brock, to play guitar. And then, the original bass player, who actually never practiced with us, was my friend Trent from Cadillac Blindside. Him and I had played in this band called Monarchs for a while. Then he kind of bailed when he realized that we were going to be maybe a little more serious than he had time for. But then we were like stuck. We were like, well, if we're going to do this, we need like a really good singer. And so Dave threw out like a few kind of like, like Sky in the Pie, or Pie in the Sky. Sorry, Pie in the Sky, like out there kind of like dream singers. And one of them was Brad, who was in this band called Picturesque, which I think is the band that most people know him for because they were on Trustkill and actually toured a bit. And then Picturesque also had like ex-members of Threadbare. But all of us in like South Dakota and Minnesota know Brad from this band called Reach, which were around in the early 90s, which had guys that ended up in Threadbare. And then Dustin was in it for a while, who ended up in Snapcase. But Reach was like our band. Like, they were like the amazing like local band that was playing the music that we all loved that didn't really exist around here. Like, and they were actually, sorry, I'm getting way off topic already. But anyway, Reach was supposed to like be on Watermark and stuff, but they ended up breaking up, and Threadbare happened and whatever. So anyway, he's like, if we could get Brad, he's like, I'll do it. And I was like, well, I know Brad a little bit. Like, Brad's a little older than the rest of us, and so none of us were like friends with him, but we all kind of like knew of each other. And I was friendly with his partner Jen. I knew her through like art and design stuff, and so I was like, you know what, I have a little bit of an in. Like, I know Jen. I shot Brad a message on, I think, Facebook or whatever it was, expecting him to like either not reply or say no thanks. And he got back to me like within an hour or two and was like, yeah, this sounds this sounds great. I'm in. And so I told Dave, I was like, Brad's in. And so Dave was like, well, shit. Because I mean, I know you know David a little bit, and he's like constantly in like at least 2 or 3 or 4 bands, and then does like touring stuff with bands that aren't his. And so he keeps a very busy schedule in terms of drumming. And so I think he was feeling a little overextended suddenly. But that's my memory of it. And I actually I have like me and Dave's like chat screenshotted somewhere, because in Dave's memory, I think he thinks I wanted to start a band, and I actually didn't want to start a band at the time. I was just sending in the demo because I was like, he might think this is cool or funny or whatever, because not that many people had heard it. And yeah, I had actually been like quote unquote retired for like 15 years or something. Like I kind of gave up music to focus on like doing design stuff, and wasn't really looking to start a band. But then I mean, both of us were like, this a lot, like the lineup is too cool to like say no to it, so let's just do it and see what happens.
Yeah, and I mean, and what happened was, I mean, you created a self-titled, and I've always been one of these people where a self-titled album has to be special, right? I always felt like sometimes if a band put out a self-titled album and it wasn't some of their best work, it was, I don't know, I looked at it differently. But when I found your album and I listened to it, I mean, I think that's when I think I might have texted Dave right away. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like this is like, it was insane. And I love finding things that make me happy again. You know, I think when it comes to music too, one of my biggest things is I love finding new music. I love finding new bands, but I also like finding, as I call it, nostalgic instead of nostalgic. Like it's taking something that has this sense of nostalgia to it, but you're bringing it forward for newer audiences and newer ears to hear. And it sounds a little bit nostalgic, but at the same time, it sounds brand new. And that's what I found with that first album. And now here we are, and we are at, the release of your second album, Departures, which is, again, it's a step up. And it almost sucks that you named your first album Dead History because the way I'm describing it. But I mean, it's just another step forward in what you guys are doing and what you kind of built off of the first album to now, like where I think there's a little bit more I want to say attitude towards it when I listen to the music, and there's a little more, there's a lot of different things going on as opposed to the first album, which was, this is it, straight in your face, we're done. And this is like, I was on a roller coaster listening to every song 5 times as I did, like, and I was just like, oh wow, that was unique. And then I wasn't expecting that. And then so were there conscious efforts like going into going back to when you first started this to now working on a full album together, probably all figuring out the things as you go? I mean, was there a different mentality going into this second record?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, the first record, we kind of didn't know what we were doing really, other than like we were all friends and wanted to try this thing out and see what happened. And yeah, three of the songs on the first record were like reworkings of like my old demo songs from like 20 years ago or whatever. And then we wrote and then we wrote the other 5 songs as a group, but they all kind of came. The funny thing about the first record is like a lot of the riffs, I got to think, pretty much, yeah, I think pretty much every song, like the seed of like a riff was old in some way. Like even like the Back to the Center, which is like a bass driven song, was a bass line that I had written in like a different project that never went anywhere. And so it was kind of this just, like mining the, I don't know, the lost archives or whatever of riffs that had been laying around for 10, 20 years. And we didn't really know what we were doing. And so, and it just kind of happened as it just kind of came together, and however it did. And then, with the new record, I mean, Dave had said early on, he's like, if we do another record, I want to like kind of like explore the extremes more, like more dynamics, like have some stuff that's really pretty and quiet, and then some stuff that's like louder and a little more aggressive, or maybe a little bit gnarlier. Uh, and actually, yeah, the gnarliest song isn't on the album. With we have an extra song that we don't know what we're doing with yet, and that's like kind of the gnarliest of all of them. And then
no,
and
that's good that I didn't hear it. I mean, I love gnarly.
Yeah. Oh, I'll send that to you. Yeah. And then I kind of made a conscious effort as I was writing riffs. I mean, so the new record, again, a lot of the seeds of the songs came from like just like riffs and ideas I had, but they're all newer, like within like there was no old stuff this time around. And then two of them came from John, our bass player, kind of started them. But with my stuff, like the stuff I was bringing to the table, I made a very conscious effort to like not use drop D quite as much. I mean, we're still tuned to drop D, but I was like, I want to play some stuff on like the higher strings. Because the first record is like, I pretty much am just like on the bottom 2 or 3 strings through the whole thing. And it just feels, it gives it a definite feel. And I was like, I feel like I've kind of explored that to like as far as I can. So let's try something new and something different, and just focus maybe on the rest of the strings and get some higher melodies in there and stuff. And so with like my internal thing, which I never really expressed to anybody, it's just I kept bringing in riffs that were just different. And then Dave's directive, and then John writing 2 songs, it definitely kind of went in a different direction, which we were happy about. Like we didn't want to do the same thing again. So I'm glad that it is translating for people that have heard it.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I mean, I love the roller coaster it took me on, because I wasn't usually, when you hear something and you're used to what you heard maybe the first time or over and over again, and then you get something new and you're like, oh, well, this is different. And sometimes you don't know how to feel about it. But for me, like, the lucky way is that I get to listen to things, especially owning a record store and a music venue. I can blast it as loud as possible and make it sound however, it needs to sound for that moment. And that's exactly what I did. Like, I just was alone, locked the door, we were closed, and I was like, all right, here it is. And I'm just blasting. I was like, all right. And then when I got those softer tones, I was like, fuck yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, but I love that, So, great job on that.
And I should say that reminded me, because I didn't have much to do with it. The song City Sidewalks, the like acoustic song, that was an idea that John had, like, because so Brad, our singer, when he like kind of in between when he was in Picturesque, and when we pulled him out of post-hardcore retirement, he had like been doing different types of like solo music, like just him and an acoustic guitar, around Minneapolis for like 10 or 15 years or something. And so we wanted to explore kind of that side of his, musical ability, or just like musical interest. Right. And so we kind of asked him to write, like an acoustic song for the record. And so he came back to us with like 3 or 4 different ideas. And this is the one that, we ended up like working on and putting on the record.
That's awesome. Now, with the songs that you already have created and out there in the world, I say this all the time, but it's one of my favorite questions to ask artists. But if no one ever heard Dead History whatsoever, they never heard the band, never heard your music, and you had to play one song of yours for them, what one of your songs would you play for them?
Oh God. I mean, is it like the one I personally want them to hear, or am I like trying to win them over as a new fan?
Yeah, you're trying to win them over, because I'll have a follow-up question after it. So, but like, yeah, they never heard your music, and you have one chance to try to impress them and gain a new fan. What are you playing for?
I mean, okay, if that's the initiative, then probably empty. Eyes, that's from the first record. That's the one that has clearly connected the most with people. If it was me just like wanting to play them my favorite song, it would be Launchpad. But that's like the more one of the more extreme songs, so it's like 9 minutes long, so I don't know that that's going to win new fans necessarily.
No, I get it, and that's my follow-up question after that is usually, well, then what's your favorite song you've released?
Oh yeah,
so,
well,
yeah,
I
so
answered
you
both.
answered it. Yeah, no, that's great, and because that's what I like to see the difference and the way someone would answer, and sometimes they are the same exact song, but a lot of times they're not, and I'm always interested to hear the differences between them.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, like Empty Eyes is a favorite song of mine still too. I mean, that was like the first, so the Empty Eyes was the first one that we wrote like as a band. So like when we, like with the first batch of songs, we worked on like my demo songs first. And then once those three were kind of in the can, the first thing we wrote together as a band was Empty Eyes.
Nice. Now for you, when did music kind of like take a hold of you? Did you grow up in a musical household? Like how old were you when you heard your first, thing that made your ears stand up? People are tired of hearing me tell him I was 6 years old and I heard the Beach Boys, and my life is now led me to almost 50 years old, and music still being, big besides my family, the biggest part of my life.
I mean, I didn't grow up in like a super musical family. I mean, my parents had a record collection, if you want to call it that. they had records, but I mean, I don't remember what they all were, but to me, they seem kind of random now looking back on it. There was like a lot of weird, kind of like weirder country stuff, like not cool country stuff like Johnny Cash or anything. And then like
it's like Juice Newton and Crystal Gale, and Dan Seals, and
like Oak Ridge Boys.
Yeah. Grew up in that household too, man. Don't worry.
And I think they did have a few Beach Boys records too. And they're a big John Denver fans, which is actually, I was named after a John Denver song, which is, anyway, that's a whole nother story. I honestly don't know if I remember, like, because I mean, there was always a little bit of music around, like the radio would always be on, or like they would put on records sometimes, but I don't feel like they weren't like super music fans or anything as far as I could tell. So it didn't feel like it was like ingrained in my life or anything. I mean, I think when I started to feel like a thing, maybe it was when I started, I mean, it must have been junior high or like late grade school or something, when I started to hear like maybe some more dangerous, quote unquote, dangerous music that wasn't like around our house. Like, things like AC/DC or even like my uncles would listen to like Bruce Springsteen a lot, which isn't dangerous, but like even that felt like more interesting to me than like the weird country stuff that my parents would be playing. But yeah, I think like hearing some of like that, like like harder rock, like faux metal stuff, like AC/DC or whatever, was where it started to feel kind of interesting, or like perk my ears up a little bit. And I was like, oh, I want to know more about this.
Yeah.
And then I had like aunts that were, like when they would babysit me when I was younger, like they would like have MTV on and stuff. So I would hear like whatever was, going on MTV in like the mid 80s. And that like also just felt like a little bit forbidden, because it wasn't a thing that my parents would allow necessarily at that age. So, things like Madonna or whatever was going on at the time started to like perk my interest a little bit, just because it felt forbidden or something.
Yeah. Music at that time too. I mean, like that is, I've told the story before of like, I remember going out and I had like saved up enough money for my paper route, and I wanted to buy a cassette, and it was Beastie Boys' License to Ill. Well, I got to listen to it maybe once in my house, and then I had to trade it with a youth group leader for some Christian rock.
Oh God.
So, like that, but because that kind of stuff was forbidden and it was different, and it was like, it was, I think that's what brings people to music too, is when something seems a little bit dangerous that you're not sure if you're supposed to be listening to it or not. It kind of starts to pull you in.
Right.
Now from there, like being in junior high or whatever, do you kind of remember like the first thing after that you gravitated to, like as your own little, because we all get this like own little community, like when you're a teenager, for some reason, punk rock, because we had it so hard. Like the punk rock DIY scene was where I gravitated to. But like, did you have a scene where you gravitated to and you found like a band that pulled you into it?
Like into the music scene?
Yeah.
I mean, so the punk scene in South Dakota, I kind of I lucked out in that. This kid that I was like friends with in like grade school and early junior high, he had an older brother that was into the punk scene and like played in a bunch of bands, had like a really insane, like, not record collection. I think he had like CDs or tapes or something, but, and so I would hear a lot of stuff through them, like, cause, my friend James, his brother Mark would like either play stuff for us or let us borrow stuff and like listen to it on our own or whatever. So like, but it was like a crazy collection of stuff of like he had everything from like the first Green Day record to like Ministry and like PIL and even like Sisters of Mercy. Like I remember listening to Sisters of Mercy a bunch when I was like 14 or 13 or whatever it was. And like Pixies, like I really, really, really liked the Pixies at like 13 or 14 or whatever. But his older brother, Mark, like was in the scene and like played in bands and would actually do like garage shows in their parents' garage. And so I kind of knew about the punk scene, but like I didn't think I would ever, I had no idea how I would ever be able to go to a show because my parents weren't going to let me do that or whatever. But somehow I convinced them at like the age of 14 to like drive me to a bar in downtown Sioux Falls, South Dakota for an all ages show. Drop me off, let me go to this bar to see a punk rock show and then pick me up later. But then, yeah, from that first show, I was like hooked. And it wasn't necessarily like a single band that got me into it. It was just like the whole vibe or the whole scene of it. Like I felt like I'd found my place at that first
you belong.
show. Yeah.
Like you belong. Now, was that your very first concert ever, or were you dragged to some weird country thing prior to that? Like I was, my first concert ever was Kenny Rogers. So, but it wasn't the one I got to pick. You got to pick to go to a bar and go to a punk show for the one you got to pick. But
it's possible I went to a Kenny Rogers show. I mean, there definitely probably was something before the punk thing, like, but I honestly don't have any memory of what it would have been. Yeah, like my parents probably took me to something at like an arena show or like a state fair or something at some point, but nothing's coming to mind, which probably means it wasn't very memorable, I guess.
Kenny Rogers was memorable with me because it was also the first time I saw boobs. So, but so when did like musical instrumentation come into your life?
I mean, not that long after I started going to shows. So yeah, the first show was like, I think like 14, like like the years and the ages and all this is a little fuzzy, but, yeah, I think I was around 14 when I went to the first show, and then I was in my first band playing my band's first show at like 15. So like within
what was the name of that band?
It's called Label.
Not terrible. We've had some really bad first band names.
I mean, we couldn't come up with a name because I mean, band names are the worst. And finally, one of our friends was just like, he's like, you guys just need a name. You just need a label. And we're like, okay, fine. It's just Label. We're just going with that. So before like I got like way into the music thing, I was like way into comic books, which is probably not uncommon. But basically, like as soon as I like went to that first show, it's like, okay, this is my new life. And I stopped spending money on comic books and started spending all my money on like music. And then, yeah, at some point in that first year, I bought a bass. I don't remember why I chose the bass.
4 strings.
Other than maybe like the kids I was like starting to play with, they just needed a bass player. It's probably that, or it seemed easier. Like, yeah, 4 strings seems easier than 6.
Yeah, as a kid, yeah, that's. I know a lot of people who picked up the bass because they thought it would be easier.
So it was like within like that first year of like starting to go to shows. I think, yeah, if my memory is serving me correct.
Well, and then a year later, you're playing your own first show.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Now, when you started doing that and you get that bug of playing your first show, do you remember the first show you ever played? And what it was like?
Oh yeah, I remember vividly. A, because a friend of ours videotaped it, and then B, it was like a really good show. Or it was a really good show, but then it was also a very strange show because it was at a skate ramp, or a skate park, and we played on the top of like a really big half pipe. like I mean high. It was like 20 feet 15 feet. I don't know. Like it was tall.
Too high to be playing on.
Yeah. So it was memorable for that reason. And then that band Spark Marker from Canada played.
I remember Spark Marker. Wow.
Yeah, and it was like when they still had Ryan singing. It was before Products and Accessories came out. So it was like one of their early tours, and yeah, they blew us all away, and we like hung out with them afterwards, and like took them quarry jumping, as you do in South Dakota. So it's very memorable. It's kind of burned in my brain, actually.
That's awesome. Do you have any like personal memories burned in your brain for something like at a live show that you played in one of your bands because you've been in plenty, that was just like, it occupies this little, cortex in your brain of like something that happened, good or bad? We like the bad here more so, but that you never seem to get rid of that memory.
The easy one, and the easy one and the obvious one is when I was like 17, I was in this band called Floodplain, which is like a hardcore band, for lack of a better word, I guess. Like we started the band because we were inspired by the first Lincoln 7-inch. So like we were trying to, it was like a very DC inspired kind of hardcore thing. But anyway, I don't know. I still don't know how the hell we got on this show. So we were from South Dakota, but in Minneapolis, there's this record store called Extreme Noise, which you've probably heard of. And they had like a first year anniversary show, and they asked us to play it for some reason. My friend Bill Bolger asked us to play, and to this day, I still don't know why, because it was Propagandhi, Tribe 8, Code 13, maybe one other band, and then us. And we played first, of course, because we're like, who are we compared to the rest of those bands? But within like I think it was the first song or the second song, like I leaned forward or like leaned down, as one does in a 90s hardcore band, right at the same time that the bass player was like swinging his bass around, and his bass connected with my eye, like my eyebrow, and split my eyebrow open. And I was like bleeding all over the stage within like the first song or two. And everybody was, or not everybody, but a bunch of people were throwing like Kleenexes and like paper towels on stage. And so I like did the rest of the set with like a wad of bloody tissue up against my head. And I still have a scar on the side of my head from that. So it's kind of hard to forget.
Yeah. I hope that doesn't happen at my 1-year anniversary party, which is coming up. But now from having that bad memory, how about like one of your favorite memories you have from a performance?
Oh, good Lord. I don't know if I'd call that one a bad one. It was pretty punk.
Yeah. I was going to say that, but you're still wearing the scar. So, that's.
Oh, I'm not prepared for these questions. Man, I don't, favorite one. I don't, man, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that one. And it's not that there isn't one. I feel like, being from South Dakota, kind of in the middle of nowhere, I just feel like every time I got to like play a show, like it felt like a big deal and felt, like it felt important. Like I never really took it for granted. So I feel like almost every time I played a show was like a good memory, because I came from kind of a conservative family, and it's the whole thing to seem unlikely that I like got to even do this at all. Yeah, man, I don't know. I'm not thinking of anything specific. Sorry.
No worries. How about do you have a concert that you attended that just stands out in your mind? Like it could be one of your favorite concerts you ever got to see.
Oh my God. Those I have like a million of.
Run that list.
One of the earlier ones. Well, yeah, one of the earlier ones is so that band, the band Threadbare, was like huge around Minneapolis and South Dakota, because the four dudes that played instruments were from like the Mankato area, and then the singer is actually from my hometown. Like I went to high school with him, but their first show was in Mankato with 108 and Shelter, and so I think I was like, I mean, that was like 92 or 93, so I was like 15 or 16 or something at the time. And me and two of my friends, like we each like lied to our parents to say we were like sleeping over at the other person's house, kind of thing, like that daisy chain.
Mm-hmm.
And drove to Mankato for the night to see that show. And so Brian, who was the singer of Threadbare, like he was in this band in Sioux Falls called Switch, which we all loved because it was like the one hardcore band in South Dakota or in Sioux Falls, that kind of sounded like everything that we liked, like Inside Out and all that stuff. So they were already kind of like, even though they're like a year or two older than us, they were already like these like giants in our lives because they were like in this awesome band. So then when he joined Threadbare, which is like ex-members of Reach, which was this band we all loved, it was like a big deal for all of us. And so we were already like excited about the show. But their first show was like, honestly, like one of the best shows I've ever seen in my entire life. It was like the most intense like hardcore show I've ever seen, honestly. Like those guys, a friend of mine kind of described them to me recently. He was like, I feel bad for their instruments. He's like, I always felt bad for their instruments because like the way those guys would play shows, it was like a group therapy session. And yeah, I just remember, and I think I knew like this might be a little muddy or fuzzy in my memory, but in my memory, I think I had like the demo from Brian ahead of time, but I also feel like maybe they recorded the demo the same week of the first show. So that might be a little fuzzy in my memory, but anyway, that first show was like, yeah, easily probably my favorite thing I've ever seen. Cause it was like our friends playing this like really awesome music, and those like that first year of Threadbare shows was absolutely just bonkers. Like every show felt like an event. Like they just like left it all on the stage. It was yeah. I mean, I remember Brian just like bashing the mic into the side of his head at like the end of like the 20-minute rendition of Penicillin. It's, yeah, I can't forget it.
And I mean, have to be on, a lineup of like Shelter and 108. I mean, I'm not going to shy away. Do I have a Shelter tattoo? I do.
Hey man, I liked Shelter back then. I was excited to see him, and I mean, I don't listen to him anymore.
Yeah, I don't listen to him anymore, and I don't. And what's funny is like I still love them because they were a huge part of my life. And it's like sometimes I try to figure out why they were such a huge part of my life.
I mean, they were for me too. I mean, they were a good band. I mean, those songs are good. I just don't listen to them anymore. And I mean, it was like dudes from Youth of Today. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and 108. Like, I'm very lucky. Chris Daly is playing my 1-year anniversary show at our
nice
at our store. So, like, going back that thread. I mean, being the age that we are, but
yeah,
and having all those old memories and those old bands that we absolutely love, and then to have one of a person from one of those bands, and Texas is the reason he's part of that too. But to be able to say, yeah, no, he's playing my anniversary show at my
that's awesome
place, like so.
Yeah, I mean 108. I mean that show was so memorable too because I mean 108. Like not surprisingly, I'm like a huge Inside Out fan, which I think most people around our age who got into hardcore in that time. Yeah. And I never got to see Inside Out, but like I was like, okay, this is the closest I'm going to get to seeing Inside Out. It's like Vic, and I was also a huge Resurrection fan. So it's like shit, it's Vic plus two guys from Resurrection. Like this is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I don't think, and I think what's funny is I'll mention 108 to a bunch of people, and there are like they were just never really known. Which is just awkward to me. Like there were so many other bands that they were better than that were just known more on the scene, and 108's one of those that like not everybody was like, who's that? I get a lot of that. Who?
Really?
Like, yeah, and I'm like,
oh wow.
I'm like, let me show you. I'm like,
interesting. Yeah. Everybody I knew was into them. I mean, I think they got a lot of flack for the Krishna thing, but I mean, those first two records, like, I still listen to those all the time. I mean, yeah, I still love those records.
yeah. Now, for you in your life, is there a band or an artist that you constantly find yourself like listening to when you need to listen to something? Rolling Stone calls it your favorite band. I don't. I call it a band that never lets you down, that you just love so much that you just always listen to them.
I mean, I have like a million of those.
Who are the first three that come to your mind?
Good Lord. I mean, well, the first three would be probably Samuel, that they were like around in the 90s and they're actually back together now. Texas is a Reason, and Swizz, probably the first three that come to mind. I mean, like, all three of those bands have never left my rotation since discovering them, in the 90s.
And fun fact for people out there, Samuel and Texas is the Reason did a split 7-inch, so you can go and look for that
on Simba Records.
Yep. Now, how about do you listen to something that people get be really, really surprised that you get tons of enjoyment out of listening to?
I mean, they're not surprised anymore. I think they were at the time. I mean, this isn't that shocking. I feel like everybody listens to this, but I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan.
Okay, you're a Swiftie. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's fine. I mean, listen, it is to that point where it's almost not surprising anymore.
Yeah,
when people say it here, but I have to ask because it is. Sometimes there's some weird shit that comes out. So
yeah, I mean, there might be something weirder than that, because I feel like that's not even that weird at this point. Look at her, like, look how many tickets she sells and how many records she sells. Like, you kind of, like, pretty much everybody in the world has to listen to her to get to those numbers.
Yeah. Now, how about do you remember what you were listening to when you got your driver's license and got to drive on your own for the first time to, like, go pick up a friend? Like,
specifically in that first car ride?
Yeah.
Oh, God. No. I mean, we could take a guess. I mean, because so in South Dakota, there's like a weird farm rule. Like, I got my driver's license when I was like 14. Like, you could get like it was like restricted, but like, I had a driver's license at 14.
That's insane.
Yeah. And I got in an accident like the first day I had my car. Like, 14-year-olds shouldn't be driving on their own. I don't remember specifically, but based on my age and who I was hanging around with, it was probably either like something like Neurosis or Fugazi or like the Dead Kennedys or something in that range.
All right. So, and I only ask questions of things that I've remembered. That's where my questions come from. It's like remembering specific moments. So, and I understand not everyone's going to have the answer right away.
Well, I mean, my memory is not that great from like 2 weeks ago, let alone 30 years ago. So
remember, okay, so 2 weeks, hopefully maybe it happened in between then. Do you remember the last song you cried to?
Oh boy. I mean, I honestly don't know if that's ever happened. I'm not a big crier. Like, this is a thing. There's been like funerals that I've been at that I should have cried at, and I didn't, and I feel like a robot sometimes. I don't know if I've ever cried to a song, actually.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't know I had a tough guy here. That's South Dakota, getting your license at 14.
Not a tough guy.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you're
emotionally stunted, maybe.
Yeah. All right. World's going to end in 5 minutes. Meteors hurling into the earth. You have to listen to one song and one song only. What are you listening to?
Oh, God. Thank God Dave warned me about this question. I didn't know the context, though. I was like, okay, meteor, world ending. I mean, it's okay. This one, I have a few options because I feel like it needs to be like epic, right? Like, it's got to be like some epic.
It doesn't have to be epic. It's just like that one thing that you're turning on. Like, mine is now saved in my phone, so I never have.
So it's like ready to go.
It's ready to go.
I mean, in this day and age, it's probably a good idea. I mean, meteor, that kind of changes the scenario a little bit. I was thinking it'd be a little more calm. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's like an epic closing track from a record. So like something like Radiohead, like motion picture soundtrack, or like PJ Harvey, We Float,
Wow.
like some like, kind of epic ending song. But those are all too calm. Like I feel like if it's like a meteor, like maybe it needs to be like some metal thing.
Sometimes you need to be calm in those moments. Mine's kind of calming. So
yeah,
it's like just watching my demise.
Yeah.
All right. How about if your home is on fire, everyone gets out safe.
Okay.
All pets, all animals, all living things are out safe, and you can run back in to grab one musical thing that you have. What's the one thing you're grabbing?
Oh boy. I mean, probably my guitar, because I feel like the records you can all replace eventually. So yeah, I would say probably my guitar. I've had that thing since I was like, I don't know, 18 or something. So yeah, guitar.
Yeah. All right. Like it. I like it. Well, we are going to be coming in on our final segment of the show. But before we do that, I'd love to, I mean, you said you were the gatekeeper of Spotify, but I'd love you to now tell everybody how to find everything it is that Dead History is doing, how they can order the new album, how they can, just make sure that they're on top of everything. It's basically all your handles.
Oh, yeah. So they're all the same except for Bandcamp, which is super confusing. So like Instagram and Facebook, I think that's our only social media stuff, is Dead History Band, all one big long word thing. And then Bandcamp is deadhistorymn.bandcamp.
Yes. And I've said it here many a times, but new album is coming out, and when you're listening to this is most likely already out. So please go to that Bandcamp page, order the record, order something from a band so we can help them get to hopefully the next album at some point. That is the number one thing that we're trying to do is please help these artists and these bands keep creating, because without the artistry, we don't have anything to listen to. So we have to help them move along. So anything you got, please spend it on them. But we are in our final segment, David. I'm sorry, Matthew.
That's all right.
I was going to say, I didn't know if David prepped you for this as well. This is our weekly 3 segment. It's 3 things that you're listening to that you would like people to check out. You give your 3, and then I give my 3 for the week.
Oh God. Okay.
So that means no, he didn't. All right.
So like just like, did it have to be new or just anything?
No, anything. Any 3 things you've been listening to that you would recommend to somebody.
All right. I feel like none of these are gonna be recommendations because I don't feel like they're like that obscure or anything. Well, I get just like really fixated on albums, and like, so I'll like get fixated on like a band or a album and just like listen to that a million times rather than listening to a million bands 1 or 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
And since like since last year, Waxahachie put out a new record last year, and I finally decided to see what the fuss was about with her, because I'd seen the name around a bunch, and I was like, that's a weird name. I don't know if I'm interested in this. Like, I get really turned off by bad names, and not that I think Waxahachie is a bad name, but I don't know. It's wasn't
too complicated.
I wasn't getting a vibe from it where I was like, I need to listen to that. But for whatever reason, I was like, okay, I'm gonna finally give this a shot. And honestly, it took my breath away. Like I hadn't felt that way about music in like a long time. Where like I like just immediately felt like just like this intense emotional connection to it. And so I got super obsessed with that new record, Tiger's Blood. And then because I'd never listened to any of her other stuff, I was able to go back and also get super obsessed with Saint Cloud at the same time. So I've been listening to both those records like on repeat for like the better part of like the last year or whatever. And yeah, I was just listening to them today. And then I've also been listening to Sharon Van Etten a lot again lately. I just saw her play on Saturday night. So yeah, sometimes it's usually like leading up to like seeing a band play, I'll listen to a bunch of their music as like homework. This weird like homework I'll give myself.
I hate homework. My wife does homework before she goes to see shows that like she doesn't really know the artist, but I'm like, I don't want to know anything.
But it's like it's not even like necessarily homework for me because like I'm Sharon Van Etten's another like
yeah, you know,
I love like I've listened to those records like 1,000 times at this point. Like I don't need to do the homework. And then sometimes after I see a show, I'll be like, I'll feel sated. I'll be like, okay, I don't need to listen to this anymore. But sometimes the show is so good, I'm like, no, I need to keep listening to that. So her shows are always amazing. So I've been still listening to a bunch of her records the last few days. And then the other thing that's been on heavy rotation lately is the Klickitat Ikatawi box set that Numero put out. I loved that band, you know, when they were around when I was a teenager. The main record, orchestrated and constructed by, sounded good, but their other recordings like just sounded terrible, as most '90s hardcore bands recordings sounded in the '90s. But the remix and like remastering of all their music on this box set sounds like a brand new recording, and so it's cool to listen to like the demo and River of Souls in like high fidelity, basically.
Yeah,
and
Numero does such a good job with their stuff.
Yeah. So I've been listening to that a lot because it's nice to hear those songs as they were meant to be heard.
Nice. Good 3. All right, my 3 for this week. My first one is a band called The Shazam. The name of the album is Godspeed the Shazam. Power pop from like Nashville. Yeah, I'm a big power pop guy, so that has been on my rotation. Next is a band called Semantics. The name of the album is I Feel It All at Once. They're Australian shoegazy alt rockish type of band. They're on Side One Dummy, so you know they're good. And last but not least is another Australian band. Australia's had just this awesome in the past like 5-10 years of music coming out of there. But this band's called Brooklyn Comic. The name of the album is called Rain Check, and they're like alt emo from Australia. You know, some hardcore tendencies in there as well, but really fucking good. But those are my 3 for this week.
Nice. Yeah, Australia. Australia's another thing that people in Minneapolis are way into is all the Australian bands. Like I can't even keep up with them all.
Yeah, it's there's so many that are coming out that are so good, and I would have more on here, but like the 10 I've already had from Australia, it's the time difference of recording an episode with them. It's just so
right.
But Matthew, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for creating some fucking spectacular music. Congratulations on the release of Departures. And yeah, it's the music, thank you for that. I mean, without that, we wouldn't have ever talked, two strangers, as I call two strangers, learning about each other. It's really important. And we do it all through music, and it's easy when it's through music. So I don't know why more people don't do it, but thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no, thanks for listening. And yeah, I mean, that's the thing we always knew about with this band kind of going into it is that, we're never going to be like, we never had any dreams of like being a big band or like doing this for real. We're all like in our late 40s. But we knew that there were going to be certain people out there that would like get it and like connect with it. And so our goal has always just been to find those people. Like we know we're a niche thing, and we just want to get it out to the people that we know it's going to mean something to. So I'm glad you found it.
Yeah, I'm glad I found it too. And listen, the first album has been on heavy rotation in my store, and sharing it with people. And I can't wait till the new album is fully 100% out there and I can share that with everybody instead of keeping it to myself. So, but thank you for that. And yeah, man, thank you so much for being here. This was awesome. I really enjoyed our time together.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks.
Everybody out there in the world, you know what time it is now. It's time to go out, listen to Dead History, and have a great fucking time.
slowly drifting, all motion, stepping lightly, clear direction, and I'm drifting, falling under, clear direction, go nowhere.
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.